Hey guys, this is a video that in hindsight I realized that I've needed to do for a while. I've already done a video showing myself using the Spyderco Sharpmaker, which I'll link to right now, right there. Hopefully I'll put it right there. I may be looking stupid right now. Hopefully it's somewhere in this area. I showed myself taking a knife from dull, wouldn't even cut my skin at all, to hair whittling sharp on camera in about 10 minutes. But I haven't done a formal review of the Spyderco Sharpmaker, and I haven't technically given it my endorsement on my channel. And I get a plethora of messages. I'm saying I'm literally inundated with messages asking about the Sharpmaker, and for good reason. It is probably one of the best sharpeners on the market today. Not a lot of people know, but Spyderco first started making Spyderco first started making sharpeners before they ever made knives. Actually, I don't think it's their mission statement, maybe their motto or something like that, but they say, first we made things sharp, then we made sharp things. So that's kind of their deal. They made sharpeners first, and they do it well. If you don't, well, let me rephrase that. I realize that not everybody is I need to slow down. I realize that not everybody is going to want to spend $300 on freehand stones, although you don't have to spend that much. I did just do a video on a basic freehand sharpening kit, but that's irrelevant. I realize that some people don't want a freehand, and some people don't want to go spend $300 on an Edge Pro and another $100 on the Chaucera stones. That's completely understandable, especially if you're a beginner. Even if you're not a beginner and you still just don't want to spend that money on sharpeners, you would rather spend it on knives, which a ton of people do. I just so happen to enjoy sharpening, so I like the sharpening aspect of it. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on freehand stones or on a guided system like the Edge Pro, the Sharpmaker is probably your best bet as far as ease of use and results goes. Let's just go ahead and go over the device. It comes in this neat little package, it's light. You could throw this in your backpack and have your Sharpmaker everywhere with you. And let's face it, this little kit right here is actually really cool. For some reason, I really dig things that are self-contained and fold up into a kit somehow. And this just really hits on that part for me. I really love this thing. Sometimes I'll just carry it around like this just to have it with me. I just love it for some reason. What you get in the package is you get a top like this. You also get a DVD showing you how to use it, but I think that you'll get better results quicker using my technique that I linked to earlier. In this kit, you get 2 triangle medium stones, which are this gray color, and you get 2 triangle fine stones, which are this white color with no color on the ends. These are the white, the fine, so medium and fine. You get this base that the stones set into like this, where you can either use the corners of the stones like such, or you can use the flats of the stones like that. You get a 30-degree setting right here, and you get a 40-degree setting. Now, people ask what setting to use. I recommend the 40 because honestly there's no reason to use the 30. Most knives, if you can benefit from a 30-degree bevel on your knife, it's going to be a knife that you're not going to really be using on the sharpener anyway. It's going to be a nice thin lean grind, and chances are if this 30-degree setting will match your bevel or is a little bit greater than your bevel, then you have a knife that is purposefully thinned down below 30 degrees, and you're not going to want to put a micro bevel on that knife regardless. So I completely ignore the 30-degree setting, and I only use the 40. And I'll tell you why. I've marked this edge with Sharpie just to demonstrate something. You see the edge is completely covered in Sharpie. Okay. The thing with a Sharpmaker is it's only going to benefit your knife if your bevel angle is less than 40 degrees. And that's why I recommend using the 40-degree setting, is because most knives do fit the 40-degree setting, but not many knives fit the 30-degree setting. So just by default, if you're going to want to sharpen your knife, you're going to want to use the 40-degree setting, because that's your best bet. And it also puts a nice micro bevel on your knife and gives fairly good results. And micro bevels also make your edge stronger. Now I'm going to show you something. The only two, well, let me skip this part right now. The medium and the fine stones are excellent, and you can get really good results with it. But I do recommend two accessories to the Sharpmaker, and that is a Sharpie pen. For this reason, you need to mark your edge, and that is the Spyderco Ultra Fine Stones. Now this is the same exact grit as the 306 UF Ultra Fine bench stone I have that you see me use so often. The exact same grit these two stones are. This is just like these two stones, except they have this red bottom, and that tells you that they're the ultra fine grit. These two stock stones will give you a good edge, but if you're looking for maximum sharpness, you're going to want these two stones, and they're like 30 bucks extra, I think. Could be a little bit cheaper. But if you're going to buy this set, then you're really doing yourself a disservice if you're not getting the ultra fine stones, because they really do make that big of a difference. Okay. Also get yourself a Sharpie. Now the main reason I use the 40-degree side is because, well, I'm going to show you why. I mark the edge. Now you do your downward stroke like so. And if you have your edge marked with Sharpie and you do a couple strokes, you can actually see what part of the edge that you're hitting with the stones. And becoming proficient at this and seeing what you're doing is going to be really important in getting good edges. Let me look at this. Alright. See, here we have a problem. This edge is greater than 40 degrees. So I'm removing Sharpie from the shoulder portion up here. You see that clear portion right there with no Sharpie? I'm actually not hitting the edge right here. And that's because my bevel is greater than 40 degrees. Instead of being like that, a nice 40-degree edge, it's greater than that. So instead of sharpening the very apex of the edge where my fingers meet, I'm actually hitting the shoulder of the edge, and none of this is being touched by the stones. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because that is going to be your main problem with getting a knife sharp on the Sharpmaker. That's pretty much its only limitation, is knives that come with a bevel angle greater than 40 degrees. Which honestly, with Spyderco knives, is a rare case. This is actually one of the only Spyderco knives I've ever seen with an angle greater than 40 degrees. If a knife has an angle less than 40 degrees, there is pretty much no reason that you can't get a great edge with this system. Now, a lot of people say that having a maximum of 40 degrees is a limitation of the Spyderco, and it is, but there's a way around it. What I do with knives like this is, the technique with the Spyderco is to hold the knife completely vertical. Now that's all well and good, but what if your knife doesn't match that setting? Well, you need to go a little bit beyond vertical and lean your edge out so that you're actually hitting the edge of your knife on the stones. And this may seem counterintuitive, but it's honestly not. As long as you're consistent with leaning your knife out like that, you do it the same every time, you're going to get a good edge. And all you're wanting to do is ensure that you're hitting the edge. And honestly, if you have a little inconsistency in there, it's not a big problem. Now I lean this knife out so that I'm actually hitting the edge. And now I'm going to show you what the edge looks like. Hopefully the camera will pick it up. Now you can see that the very apex of the edge is shiny now. And that's because I'm actually hitting the apex of the edge now by leaning the knife out just a little bit to make sure that it hits the edge. So this was a really long and drawn out way to tell you that yes, the Spyderco Sharpmaker is an excellent system. You use it by holding the knife vertical and running it down the stones. But what if your knife has an edge that's greater than 40 degrees? Well, in that case, you just lean the knife out a little bit each time you're wanting to lean it towards the other stone each time. And how much you need to do that varies on the thickness of the edge, but it shouldn't be any more than that, honestly. That's about the maximum you want to go. And this is worst case scenario that your knife doesn't fit the system. Probably 80% of the knives you see will fit the system. The other 20, you can either angle the knife out or get it reprofiled to fit the system. But yes, the Spyderco is a great sharpener. It's probably the most foolproof thing that I've ever come across, and it is good for both beginners and advanced sharpeners. I still use the Sharpmaker a ton. If I'm not wanting to fool around with the Edge Pro or freehand stones, then I'll say I use my knife to cut a bunch of cardboard and I'm ready to just put a quick edge back on it. I'll grab these UF stones and come to this 40-degree side, and in 10 or 15 strokes I'm back to nearly a hair whittling edge. So it's honestly one of the quickest, most effective sharpeners for keeping an edge on a knife. Now, as far as bringing a butter knife back to sharpness, this is not going to do it. You need something way more aggressive than this. But if you get a knife that has a good bevel on it and you keep it sharp using this system, there's no reason that you can't have that knife nearly hair whittling sharp indefinitely until the edge eventually gets too thick, which will take years and years and years. So definitely get the Sharpmaker if you're looking for a good system. It comes with these stones, medium and fine. I would highly recommend you invest in the Spyderco UF Sharpmaker stones. Honestly, like I said before, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't, because they are tremendously good stones. They're excellent. And get yourself a Sharpie. Make sure you mark your edge, take a couple strokes, figure out what's going on, and you can go from there. This was much more jumbled than I wanted it to be and not as concise. So I hope you guys get something out of this. If not, then I'll make another one and I'll actually write out a script. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.